It was a very busy day on the island of Sodor. Ever since the diesels were sent to the mainland, there has been plenty of work for the engines to do. But unfortunately, some engines had to double their work, causing them to break down often. Sir Topham Hatt was not pleased with this, so he decided to send some engines from the mainland here to work. Their names were Sidney, Simon, and Tony. Coldy was taken to the works to get his wheels fitted for narrow gauge rails. He was sent to work on the narrow gauge railway so that he could help out the narrow gauge engines, since some of them were still at the works after being blown up by the diesels in their revolution. Sir Topham Hatt's new engines were very polite towards the old ones. They all got their work done quickly so that they could avoid confusion and delay. Sir Topham Hatt's engines were also very kind to the new engines, and they allowed them to stay at Tim's sheds with them. Soon enough, night fell, and the engines all went to sleep. Soon enough, morning came, and Sir Topham Hatt pulled up to the sheds. "Good morning, everyone," said Sir Topham Hatt. "I need an engine to take some flatbeds up to Crovan's Gate and get some cargo to take down to the docks. Would anyone like to help me with that?" "Well, I have an express to take," boomed Gordon. "I have no time to take a cargo train of such little importance." And with that, Gordon raced out of the sheds angrily. After Gordon left, the rest of the engines went to go do their normal jobs. Sir Topham Hatt was beginning to lose hope until he saw Oliver still sleeping in his shed. "Oliver," shouted the fat controller. "Huh? What's going on here?" shouted Oliver. "Oliver, I'm glad to see you awake. Would you mind helping me with the job today?" "Sure thing, sir. I'll be on my way immediately," said Oliver, and he raced to go get Toad at Knapford Station. He picked up Toad at Knapford Station, and then he was on his way. He passed through Henry's Tunnel, and the mine tunnel. Soon enough, he arrived at the docks, and he coupled up to his train. He was about to leave, but then Simon pulled up. "You better be careful, Oliver. Sometimes those trucks can be real pests." Thanks," said Oliver, and then he left. "How does Simon know about how these trucks can act?" asked Oliver. "Well, maybe he worked on an island with trucks just like these," suggested Toad. "Good point," said Oliver, and he shrugged off the thought as he continued on his way. "Good morning, everyone," shouted Oliver as he raced by Knapford Station. He picked up speed as he raced past the sheds. "Mr. Oliver, watch out!" shouted Toad. Up ahead on the line, there was trouble. Salty was shunting trucks, but Simon wasn't paying attention and he smashed his cars into Salty. Oliver saw this and he applied his brakes immediately to try to stop the train. Oliver's train came to a halt and he stopped just before he crashed. The sudden stop made all the trucks bump into each other. "What was that for?" asked Tipper. "Us trucks do not need to be biffed and baffed like that." "Sorry," said Toad. "Mr. Oliver was trying to make sure that we didn't get into an accident." Meanwhile, Salty and Simon were arguing. "Watch where you're going," shouted Salty. "It wasn't my fault," snapped Simon. "I wasn't the one being careless with the trucks." "How was I the one being careless with the—" "Enough," shouted Oliver. "You guys are both to blame. Now I'm gonna have to go find someone to get you guys out of this mess." And with that, Oliver left the docks. While Oliver tried to find an engine that could help him, the truck started to form a plan. Oliver puffed up to Knapford Station, but it was empty, so he continued along the line. Oliver used all his might to get up Gordon's Hill. "Pull back!" shouted one of the trucks. Just then, the train started rolling back down Gordon's Hill. Oliver slammed on his brakes and the train came to a halt. "Phew, that was a close one," said Oliver. But he spoke too soon. Oliver's train started slowly rolling back down the hill, and Oliver heard a loud crack. Oliver's back wheel had a crack in it, causing the brake to slide off it. "Uh-oh," said Oliver. Oliver sped down the back of Gordon's Hill. "Help!" shouted Oliver as he raced past Knapford Station. Connor was loading up his coaches with passengers until he saw Oliver race past him. Connor told the guard to find another engine to take his train, and he uncoupled from his coaches to go help Oliver. "Help!" shouted Oliver as he continued to pick up speed. "I'm coming!" shouted Connor. Soon enough, Connor caught up to Oliver's train and coupled up to it. When Connor coupled up to the train, he noticed something up ahead. Sydney was taking a long and heavy goods train and he turned onto the main line. "Watch out!" shouted Toad. Connor slammed on his brakes in order to stop the train, but it was too late. Oliver's train slammed into Sydney's train. Goods flew everywhere. Soon enough, Sir Topham Hatt pulled up. "What on Sodor is going on here?" demanded the fat controller. "Sorry, sir. I was just trying to help Oliver stop his train." "Oliver!" shouted Sir Topham Hatt. "This is your train?" "Yes, sir, it is," grumbled Oliver, who was covered in assorted goods. "Well, you and Sydney are in no good shape, and I'm gonna have to send you two to the works. Connor, on the other hand, looks just fine, and I'll send a mechanic in the morning to go check you out." "Thanks, sir," said all the engines. Later that night, all the engines in the sheds were discussing about how their days went. Everyone got a laugh out of Connor's failed rescue. "Who's that?" asked Edward. "Who's who?" asked Emily. Just then, Simon pulled up to the water tower. "Hey, Simon," said Edward, "where have you been today?" "Oh, I was just, doing, work," stammered Simon. Oh, okay, said James politely. How would you like to tell us about your day? I would love to, said Simon, but I have something I need to do, said Simon. Simon finished filling up his tank and then quickly raced away. I wonder what he's doing, asked Thomas. Maybe he forgot to go take a train or something, replied Percy. Don't worry about it, suggested Gordon. Let's continue telling our stories. And the engines continued to tell stories until they fell fast asleep.